We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
And I am Janella.
We're here for part 2 of our conversation. We've been talking about high-risk affairs. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper, talking about the high-risk behaviors that oftentimes we engage in that can lead to an affair, what to be mindful of so we can know how to avoid them at all costs. That's right. Listen, whoever you are, wherever you are, we want to represent you. So just put your city, your state, your country in there. We haven't done that in a while. Let's do a roll call. Let's see where you're dialing in from. We know that people from one part of the world to the other participate in this show, and we appreciate you. That regardless of your race, your ethnicity, your culture, your language, there's one common bind that draws us together, and that's the desire for something better, for something more in our relationships. And so we're excited about that. Listen, guys, Last Chance Weekend, August the 12th through the 14th. What are you waiting for? The phone is ringing. People are signing up, but there's still room for you. Let's go to a quick testimonial, and we'll be right back with today's show.
How you doing? My name is Steve, and I was an attendee with my wife at the Couples Academy. And, the one thing that I'll say that I took from this opportunity, this moment, is that it was the perfect environment for the restoration that I needed. Because the truth is, sometimes we don't even know what we need. And that's where I was. I thought I needed my wife to change. I thought I needed things out of her. And I thought I needed to bring her somewhere where she could find out how bad she was so that she could be better for me. And being in this environment, it really stripped me down to the most primitive state, helped me to see myself and the contributing factors that I brought to the relationship that caused us to have the issues that we had in the beginning. But the best thing about it is it didn't leave us in that stripped state. Before we left, we were in a restored, much more balanced, much more productive place. And our marriage has been reborn and revived, and it's because of the Couples Academy. And I would suggest that if you care about your future, if you value your marriage, then you have to come.
I love what he said. I love how he said, listen, when I came down here, I came with an agenda. My agenda was to have these folks fix my spouse because she was the problem. But then once I got down here, I realized that, wait a minute, it's me, oh Lord, who's standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my mother, not my sister, not my father, but it's me. He had to work on himself. A mirror was held up and he could see himself. And I think that's where so many people are when they come to the Last Chance Weekend. If you could just fix this man, if you could just work on this woman, and then you realize that you are the lowest common denominator in your relationship. And when you get yourself together, then everything begins to change all around you. And so listen, guys, we want you to attend because we believe it could be healing and transformational for you and for your relationship. Janella, we're talking about high-risk behaviors. We're going to dive right into this conversation. The things that we do that we're not conscious of, that we're not aware of, or maybe we are aware of, but we say it's not that bad. Nothing will ever happen. And before you know it, boom, we wind up in a situation. High-risk behaviors. Talk to me, Janella.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we have some high risk behaviors going on out here. And it always started off, it was so innocent. Everything is so innocent until it's a total disaster. So that's why we're bringing up these high risk behaviors so you can be aware and hopefully avoid this. And if you're already in this situation, to help you get out so you can be restored and live a healthy, happy life with your spouse. So the first one we just want to jump into is the opposite sex friendships. We have discussed this several times on the
Yes.
show, and guess what? We're going to continue to discuss it
There
because
it
it's
is.
a major problem in relationships. We get calls all the time about people that just can't seem to figure this out. So, if you all in your relationship have found a way to do this successfully and each spouse is on board and everything is well with the friendships, congratulations, kudos to you. But for those that are on the struggle bus in this area, we want to kind of help you out in this situation. So, as far as opposite friendships, opposite sex friendships, you definitely can have them. You know, we have platonic friendships and everything like that, but sometimes they cross the line into these danger zones. When your spouse is uncomfortable with the friendship, that's a problem. When they say, I'm not sure, they can't really put their finger on it, and then you become to get defensive. It's just my friend. That been my friend, you know, just causing all kind of issues, then that's a problem. When we have friends, we want to make sure that they are friends of the marriage and everyone in the marriage is getting along and respect each other. Just like with my parents, I was able to see healthy versions of that growing up. They had friends from when they were young all the way, you know, 40 plus, 50 plus years, but everyone was on the same page. Everyone was respectable of each other. They talked to one another. It was a cohesive friendship and everyone was comfortable with it. But we step into problems when we're not respectable of the union. Hasani, what you say about it?
I mean, I agree with you 1000%. I think you hit it right on the head. And, you know, the whole opposite sex friend shows up in a multitude of ways, right? So either A, there's that friend, to your point, Janella, they've been my friend for years, and that's my friend. I have a relationship with her that you can't have a relationship with my friend. That's what I have. And that's a problem because if you're keeping your opposite sex friend separate and distant from your spouse, what's up with that? Because if there's nothing going on, then why would you try to create some distance? Because your friend should realize that once you got married, you're a package deal, and your spouse is with you everywhere you go and involved in the relationship. I mean, there should be some level of cordialness, if that's a word, familiarity, interaction. Like your spouse should co-sign this opposite sex friend because he or she feels safe with that particular person. But even if they do feel safe, there should still be parameters and boundaries around that relationship. You know, I know so many individuals who said, listen, I can't help it. My best friend happens to be a female. What's wrong with that? Well, your wife should be your best friend. Your husband should be your best friend. With your best friend, you share everything because they have a listening ear, because they understand, because you can connect, because you have a chemistry that sometimes you may not have with your spouse. Because for many couples, and here's a fact, your spouse is not your friend. We would like them to be your friend, but if you're not in a good place, your spouse is not your friend. And so for you to open up and for you to pour out and for you to connect with an opposite sex individual who's now your friend, you're developing intimacy with another person that you do not even have with your spouse. Or what we do is we minimize the that's nothing. That's just such and such from work or such and such from ministry. And we minimize the relationship because we know it's problematic. And so to your point, Janella, if your spouse is not comfortable with the nature of your relationship, because why are you on the phone so much? Why are you texting? It's after hours. Like, don't you talk to them at work? Why are you bringing conversations? And what's up with all the compliments? What's up with all the support? You know, why are you such a listening ear? If that's happening, listen, I'm not telling you you're in an affair, but it is what we will call a close call friendship. And that's when it becomes problematic.
Absolutely. And you definitely want to avoid that at all costs. And usually you have those little signals that something is not right. And you'll try to, like Hasani say, minimize it. But your spouse probably have been telling you this all along. And because of pride, you don't want to accept it. So you go along with it. And then it gets more and more dangerous. And you don't want to, this is my friend. I've been knowing them a long time. I don't want to hurt their feelings. So you're just coming up with thousands and thousands of excuses until it get out of hand, and then you might have a whole crazy stalking situation on your hands. And we're trying to avoid that.
And we've said this time and time again that there's been an evolution of infidelity, and it's less transactional with someone you don't know. It's more familial. It's more relational. it's with someone you do know. So someone that you frequent, you work with, you engage with, you see regularly, whoever it may be. Because of that familiarity, it's easy for, if you don't have boundaries in place, for, as you say, innocent platonic relationships to become problematic. But looking at the word platonic, by definition, it is problematic because it means to have an intimate and affectionate relationship with someone void of sex. And so, okay, great, you don't have sex. But ask your spouse how comfortable they would be with you being intimate and affectionate with a member of the opposite sex. How innocent will that last? And even if you don't have any bad intentions, and even if for you they're just a friend, don't assume that that's mutual.
Right.
Oftentimes, the reasons why men and women only become friends is because there's no mutual attraction. But oftentimes there's a secret attraction by one, and if given the opportunity, one would take advantage of it if they could. And so listen, as long as I have a penis and my friend has a vagina, there's a possibility that something can go down.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go into the second one. I hope this is making sense. We want to spend time on this because some of you right now, I know this is a struggle you have. Either you don't understand why your spouse makes such a big deal over your friend, or maybe you're the one that's hurt. You feel deceived. You feel taken advantage of. You feel not listened to. And your spouse is engaging in relationships and won't honor your position on things. If that's your issue, please reach out to us. Don't wait for things to get worse before. And that's the thing. It's just like people go to the hospital when they can't take the pain anymore. Well, you've been dealing with it long enough. Why wait till things get worse? If you have that light on your dashboard and it's been there for a couple weeks, why wait till things get worse? If you're in a relationship and you feel like things aren't right, you're not in alignment, and there's a compromise to the integrity of your relationship, why wait till things get worse? Reach out to us so we can figure out how we can serve you with a spirit of excellence. All right, so just go to the website, couplesacademy.org, set up a discovery call, and we will be there to serve you. All right, let's go to the second thing. The second thing, Janella, is workplace affairs. Break that down.
Oh my goodness. Workplace affairs. This is so common now. It's just like a hotbed for infidelity because now the roles have really integrated. Back in the 50s, women were back at home, basically cooking, tending to the kids. They really weren't out in the workforce. So now men and women are working together. You have the boss, they're reporting to one another, they're in close proximity to one another. We have devices that keep us connected even when we leave the job. So it's a lot of interactions that's going on between male and female. And when you think about your work day, you spend a lot of time at work now. Most of us are doing like shift work. Some of us are at work 10 to 12 hours per day. When you add in preparing, if you have to give reports, sometimes it add up to 14 hours per day. So you're spending a lot of time at work with opposite sex co-workers. So you have the time, you have the space and the opportunity for this co-worker relationship to turn into something else. So that's why workplace affairs are such on the rise, because we're spending this time, we're talking about family, we're talking about friends. Hey, how was your weekend? There's a lot of coffee pot talking. And so over time, you develop this almost into like this intimate space because, oh, I know Bob, he loves Starbucks. I'm going to bring him Starbucks. And it seems so nice and noble.
Yeah.
And you know that his son is playing football. Oh my goodness, those fees are so high. Let me just buy all the raffle tickets, so you're just kind of building this camaraderie, but something is brewing on the inside. And what once started innocent, as we're going to keep saying, because that's the lie that is portrayed. I won't say it's a lie, but maybe you really do think that it's innocent, but we want you to know when you say that to yourself, that that's a problem. So the workplace affairs is just an easy opportunity for something that was supposed to just be coworkers to advance into either a close call or an all-out affair.
Now, let's juxtapose these relationships we have with people at work to the relationship we have with our spouse at home. To your point, we're gone for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And when we come home, we're exhausted. All we want to do is get something to eat, relax, veg out, maybe engage in mindless, activity or entertainment. The last thing we want to do is talk. And so couples aren't connecting, but you're connecting with your coworkers. Couples aren't spending quality time, but you're spending all day with your coworkers. Couples aren't developing intimacy, but you're allowing other people to see into you and you're seeing into them all day long in between the tasks at hand. There was several studies that have been done that in the typical 8-hour workday, employees get less than an hour of work actually done. Less than an hour in an 8-hour work day. And so they're spending the rest of their time connecting, communicating, laughing, just building, bonding. And so if you're doing that at work and you're not investing time into your partner at home, because time right there, the lack of time, many people have a time-starved marriage. There's no quality time. Then what's going to happen? You will lose the attraction, the affection, the connection with your life partner. And to your point, it creates a window of opportunity because it's just easy. Talking to you is hard because all we're talking about are bills and babies and all the responsibilities and duties, and we're fussing and fighting and arguing about that. And now I'm living life by avoidance. I don't even want to get into it. So I'm gonna go over here, you go over there. But I feel free, I feel light, I feel comfortable when I'm at work talking to you. And so that's how it happens over the course of time. And boom, before you know it, it wasn't the plan. It wasn't the intention. I mean, we just connected. We just got along and just one thing led to another. And here we are. These are the challenges that happen with these work affairs. And so this is why you have to be mindful, guys, of what you're doing and how to avoid these pitfalls at all costs. Listen, we're talking about high-risk behaviors that lead to an affair. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. See you in a second.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
Hey guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. It is a pleasure to have you on with us. We see all the family in the building. We thank you for tuning in. But I just want to speak to you, that couple, that person who's been watching for the last 4 years. I know who you are. I appreciate you. You come on here, you don't comment, you don't ask questions, but you watch. And we appreciate you. And we pray that this show has been helpful, giving you information, inspiration to do something more. For all of those who are actively involved in our programs, we thank you for trusting us to be able to pour into your lives to help restore you and your relationships. We see the transformation. We see how things have improved and how you're on a path to recovery. And so we encourage all of those who have yet to do something, if not with Couples Academy. Listen, there are many organizations out there who do a phenomenal job, who are invested in your success. We want you to reach out and get the help that you need. All right. We're in this conversation talking about high-risk behaviors that lead to an affair. We talked about opposite-sex friends, of course, and of course that transition into workplace affairs. But we want to go to the next one because this is something that, oftentimes we do this with good intentions in mind and don't realize that it could be a landmine as well if we're not prepared. And we're talking about volunteer opportunities. Janella, unpack this for us.
This is a good one. Volunteer opportunities. That's like, you're at church and you're working on the vacation Bible school camp for the kids, and you are very passionate about this, and brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so is just as passionate about it as you are. So you all are working together side by side, and the love you have for it, they have it too, but your spouse does not. So
Yes.
You don't really have that connection with your spouse to talk about this thing that you love so much, but sister so-and-so, she does. So when you all are working together in close proximity, you're having that conversation, is flowing well and it's going great. And then all of a sudden it starts getting weird. There's those butterflies that start showing up, and she looked kind of nice today. And, you just keep working. You just don't pay much attention to it. And then over time, that intimacy begins to develop, and it's actually pulling you away from your spouse because now you're looking forward to spend the time with this person who's just as passionate about you. And you can see it in different things, not just at church. Maybe you're working on a campaign together or after school project, but it's just something that you volunteer to do that you have passion about, and someone of the opposite sex, you're building that intimacy with them, and it's pulling away from your marriage or your spouse.
You hit that spot on. And one of the ways that you solve that is love what your spouse loves, right? Mm-hmm. I think you said in the beginning, somebody else has a passion for something that your spouse doesn't. And I'm not saying you have to be with your spouse 24 hours a day. I'm not saying that. But I think what happens is one of the reasons why couples kind of split off and disconnect is because they don't have shared likes, shared hobbies, shared interests. And so, listen, I'm my own person. I'm going to find the things that I like to do. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to congregate with, and you go over there and you congregate with. Now we got our own separate friends. We got our own separate activities. We got our own separate recreations, and we're building relationships. Like I see it all the time. Like early in the morning, if you go to the gym, if you're a part of, say, any type of class, some group class, you're talking before you work out. You're talking when the workout is over. I see people all the time when they leave the gym, they're talking to each other in the parking lot at each other's cars. You're not working out. What is there to talk about? You're building friends. Hey, that's the person I see every day. You're working out. I'm working out. We have something in common. We have a shared interest, and this is how it happens. And so this is why we encourage couples to find out things that they enjoy doing together. They both have a mutual interest in that they can experience together, because there should be a bond and a closeness and an attachment. And if you've been married for so long and you're like, you know what, we're just two different people. He likes this, I like that, we're just not on the same page. Well, you need to learn to love what your spouse loves, or learn to love your spouse through their activity, their interest, their hobby. Because when you take interest in the things they're interested in, it builds a connection that was not there before. And if you both are doing it, you both go in. But if you're not, it's so easy for other people to find the same passion in the things that you're passionate about. And if we're both passionate about the same thing, over the course of time, we become passionate about each other if we don't have proper boundaries in place, and that becomes a high risk behavior.
Absolutely. I know for us, a lot of women, they can't get into sports. They hate sports, but sports is year round, depending on what sport your
Yeah.
husband likes. And if you're not into sports, you better learn something. Sit there, enjoy
Uh-oh.
it. It's not like it's going to happen all day. In this house, if the Saints are on, I'm going to be right there rooting them on. So you have to find that space where you can spend time together. And especially if you get into love languages and different things like that, that actually will create that intimacy and the fun in your marriage. I mean, it just creates fun. So you don't want to, rob your marriage. Like, I don't want to do this. He likes this. I mean, that gets boring. Just saying that feel like it just brings a damper. So just finding different activities or, kind of switching back and forth. It actually keeps the spice going in that relationship anyway.
I mean, I'm with everything you said, but did you just say the Saints?
Who that?
Let's move on to the next point. All right. Soloing in public places. This, Janella, please start us off with this. Let's talk about the potential dangers of soloing when you're in a marriage.
Oh my goodness. So here you are sitting at the restaurant all alone, just looking all pitiful. I say it's a pitiful look. This was an interesting concept for me. Solo in public places is like giving off vibes that you are almost in a pitiful relationship. You're just going here and there by yourself. You don't even look like you're married. Well, what does a married look? You would think you might have your ring on, you might not. I don't know. But in this thing, solo in public places, they actually have people that look for unhappily married people. So it's like they give off these vibes and signals that, hey, he's unhappily married. Let me go over there and start up a conversation with them. And the woman will begin to kind of probe and ask questions to make sure her sense is correct. So once she picks up that this spouse, I'm just referring to the man right now, but it's vice versa. She'll pick up that this man is not happy at home. She'll ask him a few little probing questions like, how's your relationship? And you might give that 2-second pause and she like, bam, I got him. So she already came with an idea that she want to run off to the races with this committed person because she know that at least he knows something about love. And if I get in there here and it's already broken up, but if I can lure him, I got this thing. So that's kind of what the idea of solo in public places is.
That's spot on. There's really nothing to add to that. And so, listen, I understand that certain people are just independent and autonomous. I get that. And sometimes, we talk about the importance of having me time, because if all of your time is going to your job, then so much time is going to your career, your children, then you have time going to your spouse. Well, what about me? What do I do? I mean, yes, we do believe in having time for you to de-stress, debrief, retreat. But you just have to be careful. And I think it's all about motive and intention, because if I'm in a dark place, negative space, then being alone will make me susceptible, because whether I'm consciously giving off those vibes or not, people are picking it up. Right. And having no ring on don't mean a darn thing, because the ring can actually draw and attract. So I'm told, but it draws and attract people who deliver a certain energy in the atmosphere. Because I hear this all the time about how this ring attracts. But if you have a certain disposition and carry yourself a certain way, listen, people will know from a distance, or when they approach, they will quickly know, okay, she's not the one, he's not the one. So you got to be careful when it comes to soloing in public places. But let's talk about another thing, fantasizing, because at the end of the day, we have a public life, the life that everybody is aware of. We have a private life, the life that our spouse, our children, and those in close proximity are aware of. But then we have our secret thought life. And in this secret thought life, we begin to fantasize. And if you find yourself fantasizing about another person, you are in the danger zone. To fantasize, to imagine, to marinate the idea of a person and who they are and what they're doing and what you're thinking about them, and it's consuming you, that is a major problem, Janella.
Oh my goodness, you might as well just put your hand all in the fire and just get burnt up at this point, because it's like, what are we doing here? If someone else is occupying your mind, that's not your spouse in that manner, that is a disaster waiting to happen. That is a fair close call. It is on the way, because now that energy that you should be pouring into your spouse, into your relationship. You're giving it over to a fantasy, and you think you're safe because it's in your head. You think just because I'm the only one that knows this, it won't impact me. But yes, it will, because when you keep thinking something in your head, it's actually going to come out, and you're going to begin to act on those fantasies. At some point, you're going to do something that actually shows what's going on in your head if you keep this fantasizing going on long enough.
You better believe it. All right, and let's go to the last thing before we end today's program, the internet. Now, we talked about the 2 milestones that have increased the possibility, the probability of infidelity between men and women. Number 1, women entering into the workforce, so there's no longer a division of gender when it comes to labor. And then social media, the ability to connect in an instant, the stroke of a button, and boom, I'm engaged. The internet is a hotbed, right, Janella?
Absolutely. The internet have us reaching out to the girl we liked in the 3rd grade that we shared a popsicle with. Are you serious? Yes. The internet is really causing trouble. So it's like, we used to just have, if I run into them, maybe if I see them on the street, or maybe if I mail them a letter, but now you're just Googling names and checking out, and there's so many modes to find it. Like you have some people, Facebook for old people, but they're on Instagram for the young people. Now they're on Twitter. It's so many different ways to connect with people, and it's actually dangerous. The DMs are lit. Everybody is checking on one another, connecting. And if you keep this up, within 30 days, you're going to be looking to meet with this person. You're going to want to go out with me for coffee. Let's do this. And then after that, what happens afterwards. We all want to start. Well, I was just seeing how they were doing. No, you weren't. You knew you liked them 10 years ago. You want this to go somewhere. You're just creating a way for this to happen. So the internet has been it's a great thing. It's a wonderful tool, but it has been causing trouble for people.
And according to Emotional Intelligence 2.0, it talks about how we have 2 parts of our brain, the emotional brain, the logical brain. And whenever you're connecting with somebody that you once had an interest in, your brain conjures up the same emotions in the present moment that you had some time ago. And it is very dangerous. And who cares if they live, hours away, if they live across the country or across the world? People have engaged in all types of, secret rendezvous. Hey, I'm going on a girls trip. And then, they're buying a ticket for their friend to meet them along. You know what I'm saying? So all types of shady things happen with the internet. LaShawn said, I used to tell my husband, liking other women's sexy pictures on social media is sending them a message that he is interested. And most of them are women he used to date. And exactly, this is what I'm saying. Like the fact that even though the relationship is over, I can stalk you on social media and follow you and like. So now I'm liking and loving your pictures. So I'm following you. I got my eye on you. You can see it. And so it's just a slippery slope that leads to destruction. And so, guys, if you have engaged in any of these practices, if your spouse has engaged in any of these practices and it's created a vulnerability in your relationship, we would highly recommend you reach out to us so that we can guide you through a process that will lead to your restoration. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Once again, Janella, phenomenal, fantabulous, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious job. I appreciate you for being who you are. We're going to go into a part 3 because there's other areas to cover. I'm calling you. I'm putting you on the spot. You got to come back. We got to go deeper and deeper and deeper for this. So stay tuned for tomorrow for another great episode. Love you guys. See you then.